Jennifer from Reading Simplified, where we help you streamline your classroom reading instruction or home reading instruction and see your students, like our young man today who is here, accelerate his reading achievement. And so we are going to show you 3 quick tips that I use all the time for guided reading that help you make sure that your student is learning from your word level feedback. So we're not going to be talking so much about comprehension today, but this is just about how to get kids to read better and better with their words. But first, I want to do something to share this out, if I can figure out how to share it to, you know what, I can't just do it. I'm not clever enough to figure out. Let's try this way. See if it'll give me an opportunity to share it. It's just over my head, so we won't share it right now. But if you pop in and come say hi, let us know where you're from. Let us know what you think about our young man's reading. So we're going to get started with the 3 tips from Reading Simplified about how to help your kids with word level feedback. Number 1, there's 3 tips. Number 1, the first thing to use is as little feedback as possible, and not to use your words. So the student can figure out a lot on their own, and there's less stuff that distracts them when you don't say a lot. So the least amount of support is always your first choice, especially if you have a student as far along as my young 2nd grade friend here. But if I need to give some feedback, I will use my pencil and point to the word and point to the specific part where there's a problem, or the next step up would be for me to use a little bookmark that kind of highlights the part of the word that's a problem. So that's step number 1, just non-verbal feedback with some sort of cue. The second step would be to tell him what else could that be and point to the particular sound that he has trouble with. So for instance, if he was looking at this word,
team.
Yeah, he was looking at that word. Of course, it's backwards to you guys. I'm sorry, because I've got it on my phone. This says team if you're looking at it from my direction. And if he said tem, or if he said tame, or anything wrong, I would point to the sound that he was having trouble with, and I would say, what else could that be? My pen or pencil would be right in the middle of that vowel team, and I would say, what else could that be? So giving him a little bit more cue than just the pointing. And then finally, the third step would be, if he's not getting it after those first 2, then just tell him that one thing. Oh, this is E. So I'm not giving him the word, I'm giving him just enough information for him to do the work, okay? So we're going to give that a chance. You ready? Will you race? So we're going to try those, see if these pop up in our book today. We're going to be reading a Junie B. Jones book, which he started last week. What do you think?
Really funny.
Yeah? Well, we're glad that he likes it. That makes me crack up too, just like some of my students do. Okay, are you ready? Now you can get started, and I'm gonna turn the camera around so that they will see us not backwards.
So we can just kind of flip the whole thing.
Yeah. You can get started reading, okay?
Lucille made Lucille made a fancy ew.
She made a
fancy face.
Nice.
Ew, she said. I know they are you.
She doesn't like them, huh?
I said back. That's why. That's that. What?
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to tell you, Lucille. I am a big pig. And so how can I even steal your boyfriend? Just then Lucille looked Nick.
You're right, could be. What else could it be?
Wait, it can't be I.
Try it. This one is nice.
Nicer.
Just then, Lucille looked nicer.
At me. I scooted my chair closer to her.
I scooted my chair almost. You almost had it. I scooted my chair
close to her.
Nicely done.
Now we are friends again, right? Lucille, right? I said, and so now now you can introduce me, handsome Warren, because I won't even steal that guy.
Okay, what's she not going to do?
Steal.
What is Lucille worried about?
That Junie B, that's her nickname. Her real name's Junie B. Jones in the book, but they usually call her Junie B. Junie B is trying to steal handsome Warren. He's trying to steal Lucille's boyfriend, which is handsome Warren. And so, yeah.
And Junie B's trying to trying to explain to Lucille.
Yeah, that she can't.
She won't be stealing him, right?
Yeah, or maybe she's tricking her.
Oh, we don't know yet, huh? What do you think? Let's find out.
That's what I find out in movies. Introduce me to handsome Warren, because I won't even steal that guy. Lucille,
Good.
fluffed her some more.
She fluffed her.
So
Yeah, she fluffed herself. I don't know what that means
why
exactly.
the heck?
Maybe she's fluffing her dress or her hair.
I have no idea.
She fluffed herself some more.
I don't know. I think
I don't know.
I'll think about it, she said. I clapped my hands really hard.
I clapped my hands. Real? What?
Really thrilled.
Yeah, I clapped my hands real thrilled, which isn't how we'd say it, but it is a funny Junie B. Jones way.
Yeah. Then a quick stop. Stood
Good.
up and
I stood up.
on my chair. Grace,
It could be. Try A.
Grace, hey, Grace. I hollered.
Grace! Hey, Grace! I hollered.
Lucille said she'll think about it. Then she just heard.
Just then.
I heard a different voice. Junie B. Jones. What do you think?
What do you think?
Are going?
What do you think?
What do you?
Oh, here we go. What do you think you are doing? Uh-oh, it's all caps. It's maybe kind of, she's in trouble.
It was my teacher.
Uh-oh, you think she's in trouble?
Her name is Mrs.
Is that her name?
She.
Is that her name?
Her name is Miss.
It's what it says. You're totally right. But do you think that's her name?
No.
What is that all about?
Her name is Mrs. That's not true.
Why does Junie B. Jones call her that? Is it just a funny thing Junie B. Jones does?
I think so.
She's just a kindergarten kid. She does some quirky things, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, her name was Mrs.
She had another.
She has
another name too, but I just like Mrs. That's all. That's all.
Nice.
That is.
What's going to happen? What do you think's coming?
I'm hoping. Oh my.
What do you think's coming?
You might want to see a picture.
Okay, show them off. Show it off. Here we go.
This is not good. There's the teacher, and there's Junie B. Jones and Lucille.
All right, so something's coming.
Oh wait, and there's
There's that Grace. That's what they call her.
Just Junie B. Jones calls her that Grace, right?
Yeah,
Not everybody else. Okay, so that was a great job by our friend, my second grade friend here. He's rocking into his chapter books. And last year at the end of first grade, or kind of the middle of first grade, he was having trouble blending 3 sound CVC words. So he's just really rocketing up, and I'm proud of him. And that was good reading. And so that's the kind of thing that you can do during guided reading, one child at a time. Obviously, you can't do that for every child when you have a group of 3 or 4, but taking turns with the children, listening to one at a time, giving those 3 types of cues can undo a lot. We got a high five. Thank you, whoever's watching right now. Thank you. It's a little praise for you. So the 3 things were, again, to repeat. Number 1 would be to give no auditory feedback, just the nonverbal cues of maybe pointing to the word or revealing just the one part where there's a trick with some kind of notched card like that. So that's a nonverbal cue. That way the student has the time to think and doesn't hear a lot of talking from you, and then they can move more rapidly through the word. And also, he did the work. He figured it out, because every time his brain does the action of working hard to figure out a word, it's not just good for that word, it's actually developing a skill that will make all other words easier to figure out. So that's why we want him to do the work. Number 2, that after that nonverbal, then we would say, well, what else could this be? Like in the example, team. And then finally, if they can't figure out what the right sound is, just give it to him. And I think I did that with nicer. So he was stuck on the C and he was saying knicker, and that was the trick. The trick really just didn't remember that C can sometimes, not very often, be S. So then I just said, well, try S. And then who did the work? You figured it out. I didn't actually ever say nicer. I never gave him any words really, except to maybe repeat something that he had already read. So those are my top 3 tips that will probably work for you with kids, whether they're beginners or even up through middle school or high school level kids who are still working on decoding. That will work a lot of the time and will give the chance to the child to become a better reader. So high five to my friend. And if you liked some of those things that we were doing in this guided reading, you can find a post that will explain more about how guided reading can be made easier on the classroom teacher. So look for that in this post. Thanks for tuning in. You want to give them? Yeah.
And done.